Us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on. And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan, it's time for Headliners. Joining me tonight to look at tomorrow's front pages, Diane Spencer and Scott Capurro. Big opinions and big laughs after the headlines with our...
Good evening from the GB newsroom. Russia has agreed to supply Belarus with the most up-to-date military equipment, according to an official Belarus news agency. It comes as Ukraine warns that Belarus could join Russia in its invasion of the country in the coming hours. The news agency also claims President Putin and his Belarusian counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko, have agreed to support each other in the face of Western sanctions. An advisor to the Ukrainian president urged Belarus not to join the conflict.
I would like to notify and repeat once again what we have said a long time ago. We do not plan to fight against Belarusians, and you must not allow to be dragged into this criminal adventure, which Russia is provoking deliberately by using your military infrastructure, airfields and firing Iskander systems from your territory. This is a direct provocation, strike against Ukrainian territory, and then a strike against Belarusian territory. Please share this video and do not allow it to be dragged into a war. You do not need it.
The US Treasury has said it sanctioned members of the Russian parliament and Kremlin oligarchs for enabling Vladimir Putin's war against Ukraine. It follows an earlier announcement from the US of a Russian import ban on seafood, alcohol and diamonds. The UK's Foreign Secretary has also sanctioned almost 400 members of the Russian parliament. Well, in a tweet this evening, President Biden has said a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia is World War III and something that must be prevented. The mayor of Kiev says residents are returning to fight against Russia. Vitaly Klitschko says there are around 2 million people still in Ukraine's capital and that there are enough supplies to last a couple of weeks. He also says supply lines in and out remained open for now.
And a lot of men and women. I'm proud of our women standing strong, coming back, defending the country. This is our home. We cannot leave somewhere. This is our home.
Well, speaking to GB News, Chair of the Defence Select Committee, Tobias Ellwood, says the full force of NATO has not been used in Ukraine yet.
They're still stuck behind these old rules as to how NATO should function. The one thing that Putin actually is scared of, fears the most, is the utility of NATO, this most formidable firepower. And yet, by and large, we've decided, because we're so concerned things will spiral out of control, that we cannot utilise that strength.
The government is to ask the British public to open their homes to refugees fleeing the conflict. The Levelling Up Secretary, Michael Gove, will unveil details of a sponsored route on Monday. It'll allow Ukrainians with no family ties here to come to the UK. It follows criticism that the UK has been slow to help some of the 2.5 million people who've already fled Ukraine. TV, online and DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to Headliners.
Thank you, Tamsin. Welcome to Headliners. I'm Mark Dolan, and joining me tonight are the effervescent Diane Spencer and the ever trying to convert me, Scott Capurro. I think that's homophobic. Great to have you both on the show. How are you?
Oh, very well, thank you.
Yeah, very well.
I'm just admiring. I mean, come on, look at this.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Oh, Zelensky. I was just
is.
looking at Scott.
I read in The Guardian telling us to not make him a poster boy. Don't erodicize Zelensky. The Guardian begged us not to. So, of course, I bought the T-shirt right away.
Yeah, well, Vladimir Putin invading Russia is kind of, I should invade, I've turned into Joe Biden, invading Ukraine has made him the good guy, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, he was the good guy before, now he's really good.
There you go. Now, so I've heard. OK, well, let's take a look at Saturday's front pages, and we start with the Daily Mail. Queen in new health blow. She'll miss Commonwealth service that was always so important to her. The Daily Telegraph, Hunt calls for massive boost in defence spending. That's Jeremy Hunt on the backbench, is now, of course, former cabinet minister. The Guardian, Macron savages UK for not making refugees welcome. FT Weekend, West cuts trade ties to punish Putin. The Daily Mirror, hope amid horror, a small mercy in Ukraine. A mum-to-be who fled in terror from a bomb blast on her maternity ward has safely given birth to a baby girl. The Times, Kiev ready to face the onslaught. Richard Spencer finds dark humour and optimism among volunteers, including a guard called Roman Polanski, preparing trenches in the Ukrainian capital. Daily Express, Putin's plot to blackmail the world. Despicable Vladimir Putin was yesterday accused of plotting a terror attack on Chernobyl and blaming it on Ukraine to hold the world to ransom. Queen to miss beloved service is also covered by the Express. And Harry stays away from Philip tribute. And last but not least, the Daily Star. As the world goes to hell in a handcart, Kim Jong-un tests new rocket that can hit USA and India, accidentally fires missile at Pakistan. Now, not now, North Korea and India is what they say. Those are your front pages. Those are your headlines. Let's get reaction now from Scott Kapuru and Diane Spencer. And lots of stories to get through, of course. Dominating is the issue of Ukraine and its invasion by Russia. And let's have a look at Saturday's Guardian. We lead with the ire of President Macron, Diane.
Yes, so Emmanuel Macron has condemned Boris Johnson, saying that we are not making refugees welcome in Britain, despite the fact that we just literally had on the news that we're being told to open our homes to refugees. Well, this is another case of the government telling us to do one thing, but making it quite impossible to be able to do it, because 22,000 people have actually applied because we've got a visa system. You see, in the EU, they've actioned this amazing temporary directive where people can just go into the EU, they can start work, they can settle, they can get there. They're there for, I think, maybe a year, maybe 3 years. Sorry, I should find it.
And all they need is a Ukrainian passport.
Yes, and they've got a passport. This is who I am. But with the UK, we are making them apply for visas. And the story from the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, is that they're trying to stop Russian agents from sort of creeping into the UK, posing as Ukrainian refugees. Now, you could understand that, but if you've already travelled so many miles to try to get across to the UK where you might have relatives, and then you come across a UK government poster telling you now have to turn around and go to Paris or Brussels to actually get all the necessary documents, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. You're making it additionally miserable for these people who have already suffered so much. And the government are organised enough to make posters. They're organised enough to get the posters in the right place. Why can they not be more organised to actually get this system flowing? They've only granted they've granted 957 visas out of 22,000 applications.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, I take an attack from Macron with a pinch of salt, Scott, because this is a guy that politicises everything, including the vaccine back in the day when he discredited the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. But the Home Office need to get their house in order on this one, don't they?
Well, it's difficult too because they're asking people applying for visas, trying to get into the UK for a certain amount of paperwork they didn't bring with them. So these people from the Ukraine having to call relatives, hoping they're still alive, to answer the phone, to find different slips of paper to prove further their identity, which makes it even more difficult. Also, some of the visa centers set up are merely just a desk and a chair with no one manning it or womaning it. And people are, when someone goes up to apply, like in Calais, they're sending them to, again, Paris or somewhere else. So it's extending the period of misery for these people. To be fair, though, the UK government was not expecting this to happen. No, the night I left for Russia 2.5 weeks ago, no one was expecting this to happen. That's why we were able to leave. So it's become quite complicated, almost baroque. But what's going to happen in a war like this? It's going to be a disaster either way, right?
Yeah, but there is one thing that the British are very good at doing, and that is bureaucracy, admin, and red tape. If there is one thing we can do, it's make forms, form queues. You know, if you said that there's one little desk, right? Well, that is pathetic. We are much better at creating long rows of people filling in appropriate
Well, there's going to be
forms.
blowback for the Home Secretary,
There
Priti
should be.
Patel.
I feel like she's not really eager to get these people in the country. And saying that they might be Russian spies, we don't live in a James Bond film. There are no Russian spies. They're busy right now somewhere else.
Although there will be
fighting war.
people saying that if someone's coming into the country, we need to know who they are.
Of course we do. And they need to have legal documentation. And of course, if they don't have that, that's going to be a problem. But that's not been in the story. That's not been what we've been reading.
Yeah, but also we've had Russian spies coming into the country. That's how we ended up with Novichok in Salisbury. So it's not like she's got a good system anyway.
No, and Chinese spies in the House of Commons.
Well, there you go.
Paying large amounts of money for access. On to Saturday's Guardian and a court ruling on the Sarah Everard vigil, Scott.
Reclaim These Streets have welcomed the judge's decision as a victory for women and are calling for Met reform. These are people who, the RTS to be short, proposed a socially distanced vigil for the 33-year-old Sarah Everard who was murdered by Wayne Couzens. And the vigil, they were told by the local police, the Met, that if they did that, they could be fined up to £10,000 each and prosecuted. So they backed off from organizing the event, but the event went ahead anyway.
Yeah.
And these four, Jessica Leigh, Anna Burley, Hannah Shaw, and Jamie Klingler, they argued that decision made by the force in advance of the planned vigil amounted to a breach of human rights to freedom of speech and assembly. So they fought it, and they got this great decision.
And rightly so, because we saw other demonstrations during the coronavirus pandemic, but for some reason women were not allowed onto the streets to complain about violence.
Well, we are messy people, you know. Well, you can't just let women walk around expressing themselves. That's ridiculous.
Are women too loud when they protest? Because doesn't new legislation make an issue of the volume that demonstrations are going to be held at?
I think it's more that we're capable of being shrill when we want to be. We've got a higher octave range. But honestly, it's wonderful because these four women were just trying to organise a proper socially distanced vigil, and they were just shut down by the Met. And thankfully, Dame Dick is gone because this is one of the Dame Cressida Dick catalogue of disasters, and honestly, four women have not felt so exonerated since the Spice Girls made a #1 single without Jerry Halliwell. That's all I'm saying.
I feel a bit, too, like if the Met had backed off of these four ladies organizing this, that the event would have happened anyway. But also...
No, it did.
Yeah, no, but I think it would have happened, and it might have been smaller. But because the Met got involved and the word spread, I think a lot more people showed up to support it.
Definitely.
To not only say, we're in danger and you are not helping us.
Well, I think it was also another example of police overreach during the pandemic.
Of course it was. Yeah. You know. And the Met is considering an appeal. That's what they said. Yes. Which, that would look bad, I would think. Yeah. I think they should probably just let that go.
Let it go, big time.
Yeah.
Well, Chelsea might be let go by Roman Abramovich. Thank you. You're welcome. This isn't just thrown together, this show.
No, that was marvellous. I like that.
The Sun newspaper.
Yeah, the Sun's got a brilliant section on this, and even if you don't know much about football, it explains it very well, so I highly recommend it. So Roman Abramovich, wow, he's still got the blues, which he's quite happy about in a weird way. He has been given 81 days to sell the Chelsea Football Club, and I already feel this. It's like a Guy Ritchie film, like Cockneys and Cassocks, and he's got to flog this thing that's rubbish because he's #2 in the charts of top 10 oligarchs in the UK, and he's had all his assets frozen, which usually happens to me when I'm sat on a metal bench. So he has to sell
That's a picture I can't unsee.
I'm so sorry.
Somebody switch on the blow heater.
I'm just a cold person. So the club has got a licence. Now, this affects you could understand this affects quite a lot of people. There are 28,000 season ticket holders who are now very confused about what's going on, and they're very heartbroken about this whole thing. And there are 72.2 million followers of Chelsea on social media. So there's a lot of people who are interested in the club's future. But he's not allowed to sell it for a penny. Like, he can't have a penny of profit. I wonder whether he should swap it for something. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's the only way he's going to be able to get anything. But Chelsea have been given a special licence, so they can still conduct footballing activities, but they may not make any kind of profit of it. So they can still sell sausage rolls and things like that, because that's a cost that you would have, like selling sausage rolls, cups of coffee. Reasonable cost to host fixtures, but you can't, like, buy new players, you can't sell players. They're effectively in limbo.
And I think the club shop is closed as well.
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah.
There is no Chelsea merchandise. I mean, Scott was in tears. I was...
Disastrous. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, Christmas seems so much closer now.
Do you think, Scott, we've overestimated the extent to which these economic sanctions will cause Putin to think twice about what he's doing?
I mean, again, we've talked about this a little bit before, and I don't think the sanctions will mean anything to him. What I think they'll do is damage people on the ground, people at home, people whose jobs are at risk, people whose livelihoods will be destroyed. And I understand why they want to do it. I mean, Abramovich has made it very clear. He's a very public figure. He might have thought about not being so, knowing the direction of his government at 12 years ago. But anyway, he did that anyway, and now he's paying the cost of that. Yeah. And I don't really care about his wealth or his finance. I do care, though, about the people that work in the merchandise shop and stuff, like what's going to happen to them. And, this is it's a casualty of wars. It was bound to happen, and here it is.
Too right, and we'll bring you more on that story as we get it. Saturday's Guardian are carrying a warning from farmers, Scott.
Right. Well, the UK farmers say that soaring costs are going to force them to cut food production. The National Farmers Union, NFU, has warned of a huge drop in UK grown crops. Most of these crops are grown in glass houses, and so they require a lot of heating to keep them going. And we're talking about things like peppers, which the production of which will drop by about half, from 100 million annually, and cucumbers dropping from 80 million to 35 million annually, because they simply cannot afford to heat that many greenhouses. Not just with the price of gas going up, but also with the war, stopping the commute.
Yeah, I mean, all aspects of industrial production are going to be impacted by this. We don't even know the half of it, do we, Di?
Right.
No, but I am wondering whether, because cows produce a lot of methane, can we somehow hook up the cows to the greenhouse?
Now you're talking.
Yeah. Can we get them all to just blow off in one direction and we've heated the greenhouse? I mean, these are vegetables that, let's be honest, aubergines, cucumbers, they've got the calorific value of somewhere between grass and cardboard, but they are still kind of crucial to the diet. And also, the Minette Batters, the president of the National Farmers Union, said that inflation was also leading to dramatic rises in other costs. Like apparently a chicken now costs 50% more to keep than it did before.
Astonishing.
Well, yeah, I mean, because obviously...
Plus, we can't get hold of wheat, which comes from Ukraine.
There's that, too, and that's going to go up record prices in the future. Weirdly, the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs has said it does not expect any significant impact on UK food supply. But what I think is also happening is people are blaming the war for the increase in prices, but we saw inflation growing by about 30% over the last 3 years in the UK, so this is bound to happen anyway.
Yeah,
also, disastrous green policy, because the farmers are now being encouraged to do solar power things instead of actually grow crops. And I think that's a bit of a worry, because I like eating.
It's a very good point. We love food here on Headliners. Well, forget about Russia starting World War III. India might beat them to it, Diane. Oh, dear.
Oh, my
Whoops.
word. So this story is in the Metro.
I love this story.
Bit of a whoopsie. So India accidentally fired a missile into Pakistan. And that's not great. So their neighbours, they both have nuclear weapons, and this is not the case of just a football going over a fence. Basically, India apologised and sort of said, sorry, we didn't mean to, and it was due to a technical malfunction. I mean, like, who works there? Homer Simpson?
Well, I think that's the problem. There is an Indian Homer Simpson who just rested his coffee cup on the wrong button. And we've got World War III.
What is it? Is it like, I thought, is it like the cleaning person? They went in, they're like, oh, yeah, no, I've had a terrible click. Oh, what does that one do?
It's such a highly militarized area like the Korean border. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, really.
Yeah.
You know, all of this over Kashmir, it's a lovely fabric, but is it really worth killing each other for, really?
Well, yes, I mean, during the first Gulf War, we heard about friendly fire for the first time, didn't we? And this is when American jets would shoot down Allied planes or vice versa. And this is particularly unfriendly fire, isn't it? In a very sensitive region of the world.
Yeah, it's really highly sensitive. And, you know, I think, and China's also nervous there, too, because that's it's an area they're very interested in right now, too. So they're trying to calm the storm that's going on as well.
So have the Indians apologised? Have they sent flowers?
Well, they should have. I mean, Pakistan has thrown a bit of shade their way. Pakistan has warned India to be mindful, which I think is very shady considering that India created yoga and mindfulness as we know it.
Well, exactly right.
Practice what you preach.
If someone fires a bomb at my house, one good thing they can do is send over a nice meal. I suggest that because the food is so good from India, send over a nice takeaway, you know, just say, look what we've done.
Back to food. These two are obsessed. We'll give them a snack during the break. That's it for part one. So many good stories to get through in part two. You know the deal. Watch the ads, buy those things, and join us afterwards. We'll be talking about the man, the myth, the worst liar of modern times, Jussie Smollett, this actor that faked a race incident. It's an amazing story. See you shortly.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan, you're watching Headliners, a comedic romp through tomorrow's papers. Tonight, in the company of Diane Spencer and Scott Capurro. And Scott, let's get to Saturday's Telegraph and a shocking Hollywood story.
Yeah, well Jussie Smollett, who you may have seen on the series Empire, really well known for that role that he played, because he's praised highly for presenting a positive depiction of a black man in America, which is so infrequent in social media. and on TV.
Yeah, not a criminal, not a gangster, not a drug dealer.
And openly gay in his real life, too. So a lot of good aspects to him. And people really liked him a lot.
Did you watch Empire then?
No, I've only seen a couple episodes.
Any good?
It's great, actually. And he's wonderful on it.
Well, his acting's obviously very good, as
lovely.
we discovered.
Beautiful guy, too.
His acting's a bit too good.
Yeah, I think so, too, yeah. Well, it was for a minute, for a couple of weeks, and then it wasn't. He's kind of blown his career because he said, for some strange reason, he said a few years ago that he'd been attacked on the street in Chicago and been knocked around a bit, beaten up, and then had homophobic and racist slurs thrown his way, and then the guys ran off. So the police, he questioned, and then they let it go for a couple of weeks, and then they looked into it, and then they charged him with all sorts of charges of false reporting of crimes and stuff. And he's been found guilty and given 150 days in jail for this. They've branded him a narcissistic charlatan for staging a hate crime against himself. And he's begging them to not put him in jail because he's saying, look, I'm openly gay and I'm a black guy and I'm from Hollywood. They're going to either beat the heck out of me or kill me in there. And his family has come forward and said, please don't. And other, progressive groups have come forward to defend him. But the judge is like, look, I've heard all of what you have to say and he's going to jail. This was a terrible thing he did. He wasted a lot of money. They've also fined him quite a lot of money to cover court costs and stuff. And no one can figure out, he still is claiming his innocence and saying, I didn't do this, that it actually happened, which makes him seem a bit crazy. And then no one can figure out, really, no one's asked him, I think, why he did it in the first place. He's already really well known and a great career.
Well, some people think that it was to drum up publicity, like it was a kind of PR move to create even more sympathy and
during the BLM
and just put him on the map as some kind of martyr
but he was
or hero.
On the map. He'd been in showbiz since he was a child. He'd done films. And then...
but in his mind, was he on the map?
Yeah, I guess not.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
this would take him to the next level.
Yeah, how big is his ego that he needs to be on the bigger thing? I mean, I saw the speech. You see, he actually makes this outburst in court.
Yeah.
And he was given an opportunity to make a statement before the judge announced the sentence, but he declined. And then after the judge sort of did the sentence, that's when he stood up and he sort of tore his mask off. It's like, no, darling, one of the key things of acting is you talk when you're supposed to talk, and you shush when... No, you've got your lines in the wrong order, sweetie pops. And it shows what happens when an actor goes without a script, because he just kept repeating, I'm not suicidal, and he was sort of screaming that a lot, and he sort of did this big impassioned speech, but it was too late. It was at the wrong time, and it's just been a bit bizarre. Like his 92-year-old gran said, well, if you throw him in jail, you better throw me in there with him. It's like,
yes, she did.
What are you going to do, darling?
And the NAACP came in his defense, and Samuel Jackson, a lot of people.
Who are they? Who's that group?
The National Alliance, the National Association and Alliance of Colored People. I think I'm getting it right.
Right.
Most of that. Yeah. So they came in his defense, and Samuel Jackson and Rainbow Push Coalition, LaTanya and Samuel Jackson's wife, they all begged the judge.
But actually, it's important that justice be seen to be done, isn't it?
And well, they suggested some sort of service to the community he could do, which does make more sense in a way because he could do a lot, actually, outside of prison and do very little in prison. But instead, he's going to serve his time. And I really hope that he's left his own devices in there and that he's defended as well. They're going to put him in protective custody in prison, which is also very expensive. Actually.
Yeah, of course. You know Hollywood really well. You've starred in movies.
I lived there for 3 years.
And
that's
that's it. But you made your mark. And do you think that he will ever work again as an actor?
You know, it's hard to say because once someone is painted with that crazy brush, it's hard to climb out from under it. He'll have to make a comeback by going through a journey, by attending some sort of rehab, and he'll have to discover some sort of inner self and correct that inner self. Spank it on the bottom, and then send it away.
And he'll have to do the opposite of what he did in the courthouse.
Yes.
And he's going to have to say, look, I did it, mea culpa.
Yes.
Because if he continues to protest his innocence, then he never comes back, right?
He should blame the doctor-suggested medication he's on. Blame the legal pills, whatever he's taking, because they're all medicated, all of them. When you see one of them leaving the courthouse or their agent's office, licking they're always eating candy or lollipops.
Oh, yeah.
That's dipped in painkillers. They're all out of their gourd.
Well, actors.
All of them. None of them are sober. They never have been, and they never will.
Well, I might give you two something during the break then. Might boost your performance, not that it can be improved upon. Saturday's Independent are reporting that Russia are banning Meta, Diane. Of course, Meta is the company that owns Facebook.
Yes, Meta is brand new Facebook, so we forget that they sold all our data. So Russia has decided that Meta is an extremist organisation, which I have always believed, and I'm very unhappy I'm now in league with Russia on this. You see, it's already got rid of Facebook, and now it's moving to ban Instagram because Instagram is very popular in Russia, and the reason why they're making this change is because there has been a policy change within Meta. And the policy change is now that they're going to allow hate speech as long as it's directed towards the Russian military, which is interesting, isn't it? And the way that they're phrasing it is that, well, there are people under attack in the Ukraine, and we don't want to limit their right to say, I'm under attack, I wish death upon the Russian invaders. So in doing, that's the policy change, right? And they're not going to change WhatsApp because even though they also own WhatsApp, Russia's going to try and get rid of just Instagram and Facebook because they say WhatsApp is a method of communication, not posting information. I wish somebody would tell all the people who are trying to sell me leggings and face creams, and I don't want to know when you're
looking for a roofer.
Yes, please stop. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just interesting because these temporary measures also allow praise for a particular battalion of which 10 to 20% have been identified as neo-Nazis. So, yeah, it starts to get, it's this interesting kind of idea of control and what free speech is, and, you know, because they're now reversing this hate policy speech. And obviously, Meta will do it with algorithms. And when they last did this with algorithms, when they realised they weren't publishing enough Republican opinions as well as Democrat opinions, suddenly everything went the other way, and that actually contributed to the QAnon phenomenon because they couldn't sort of clamp down on all the things that were true or not true.
Yeah.
So it is quite interesting.
And no offence, Scott, but we just don't want your pals in California deciding who the bad guys are. It's very clear that as the invader, what Russia are doing is appalling, and it doesn't take a genius to work that one out. But I still don't like the idea of tech giants taking sides in this way.
Yeah, and I think that they're trying to put a happy face on Meta, which, as you said, is trying to make us forget that Facebook is the evil empire. So it's funny that the evil empire is criticizing the other evil empire, using their own mind.
So they're trying to own niceness, right?
They are, and it's pointless. And I mean, if you use Facebook, you know that you've got to deal with the devil and that you're probably going to burn.
Why is there this perception that Facebook is slightly evil?
Well, because, like you said, they love to take our data and just kind of sell it for cupcakes.
Not only that they sold our data, but they also, with Instagram, you had that whistleblower who revealed that the social media that showed self-harm, it was like, no, we don't mind if it promotes self-harm as long as it's getting clicks and advertising. And it's like, that's appalling.
Zuckerberg also seems to be, I'll say nicely, a populist. There's some more descriptive words you could use to describe him. He seems to be, you know, a bit on the right of Stalin, a little bit about certain things. So I think that makes him unpopular to his viewing and listening audience. I think people would like him to, like you said, back off and stop presenting his politics in one way or the other. It's a difficult position they're all in, though, because there's so much money involved, isn't there? Yeah. So that makes them even scarier than they already are. There's a house in San Francisco you can go to, drive to the top of this hill. He's bought 2 houses, Zuckerberg, and he's imprisoned himself with a fence around them and connected the 2 homes. Beautiful Victorian homes he's made into a large mansion. And if you drive by on any given night, you'll see what appear to be he and his wife watching television in the window with his arm around her. Yes. I've driven by a few times to show friends who are visiting when I'm there, and it turns out that they have body doubles that sit in for them and watch the TV.
That is so creepy, isn't it? I might try that with Mrs. Dolan. I might start auditioning for a new Mrs. Dolan. Oh, there you go. Send your photos in, mark@gbnews.uk, and vital statistics. The prestigious London School of Economics are in the news. They're not necessarily for their economic analysis, Scott.
God, I love this story. Dr. Theodore Piepenbrock, also known as Ted, says that his career at LSE was destroyed because women kept hitting on him and he couldn't control them. And as it turns out, he found out that they're all doing it there, that these women are all over the men and they're all drinking, and how dare they? He was in the elevator And this one lady came up to him and said, look, if you need any help, just tell me what you... And she's drunk. I could smell the alcohol in her breath.
She had lipstick on her teeth.
And then another woman answered the door when a graduate student who he had commented on her looks, told her how beautiful she was.
No, graduate assistant.
Graduate assistant, sorry. And they were out staying somewhere. She answered the door naked. And anyway, so he says these two incidents have made him a target of harassment on the campus, and he now feels depressed and suicidal and tortured, and his career is over. He used to gain £10,000 an hour for going around talking to people because he's an LSE guy or whatever his educational past was, and now he can't do that. He's too depressed. He's lost his income, he's lost his ego, he's lost his everything, and he's suing LSE.
Now, you've had this problem, Scott, for many years.
I've had people hitting on me all the time.
There was a group of them
He's like, you're the Tom Jones of live comedy.
Yeah.
The worst thing about it was I agreed and went along with it. If only I'd known I was supposed to say no. Now.
Who knew?
I thought it was complimentary. This guy, I looked him up, and he's no oil painting. I feel like he's a bit lucky, actually. But anyway, Ted is upset, so Ted's suing. That's the story.
Let's elegantly move over to Saturday's Sun. And Scott, a man with two penises.
Well, what happened here is a boy was born with fully functional penises. It's a 1 in 6 million birth defect, and it's called diphalia, as you might imagine. And the two penises, the parents wait in Uzbekistan, and I was just there. If only I'd known, I would have visited. But the parents waited till the boy was 7 to have the doctors deal with this. I think they were waiting to see if one would just sort of fall off, but it didn't. And they were both.
Did they not wait till he was like 15 or 16? Let him get the value for a few years before the snip.
Why didn't he have a choice? I felt that if this is the way that you've been made, wouldn't it be wonderful to sort of have the choice? And
You just say, look, Mum and Dad, just take one of these off when I'm 20.
Yeah.
Just let me have a few formative years alone.
They had
to explore.
They sliced off the left one and made the urinary area go into the right. So nice. And sorry about that.
Diane is a Victorian woman. She's about to faint.
You'll be relieved to know that both penises had erectile tissue, and we're not sure if they were able to go erect because he was 7 when this happened. So poor kid, unlike me, he couldn't do that at age 7. But anyway, I'm just bragging. I'm showing off. But also, let's also mention he's also born without an anus, which is another condition that affects about 1,500 babies. Who knew?
So, but 2 penises and no anus, the Lord giveth and he taketh away, doesn't he?
Oh, it's just strange, isn't it?
I mean, did he have a cleft or just no sort of exit?
Just nothing exit. And so they corrected that at birth, but they left the 2 penises on just to see what happened, I suppose.
Yeah, but also, if you're going to operate on a wee baby, I mean, it's never,
wee, so to speak. Yeah.
Oh,
right. Nicely done.
the little tiny baby. I mean, it makes sense to wait till it's sort of a bigger child who maybe you can explain things to. You've got more to operate on.
Yeah, let him go to university before the op as well.
Right.
I think, graduate, get a job, and
get
then
a nickname. Actually, is what you want with that condition.
I mean,
you want that
he's
nickname,
going to. He could make. There are some ladies who enjoy everything happening all at once, so to speak, and he could have been the perfect answer to many of their dreams. But there we go.
He's a Christmas party. He's a great birthday gift. He is not anymore. Now he's just normal now. Oh, guys,
and by the way, could the surgeon be trusted to remove the right one? I mean, which one do you remove?
Right?
I wonder that. They just said they removed the left, and it might have been because it was a bit off-center. I wonder if if the other one's kind of off to the right. He might look still like a bit of a Picasso painting, I think. Off.
But also, they'll go, look, the left one is the better one. You think, the right one's a bit longer, isn't it?
Yeah.
The right one's got charm.
Yeah.
The left one's got dynamicism.
Yeah, one has
What do you choose?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I mean, it could be a TV game show, couldn't it? Quite a story. Well, we wish that young man well.
Maybe he'd already was attached to one and not the other. Maybe he had to pick himself.
Yeah.
It's like Sophie's Choice. Choose the left. Choose the left.
Well, let's hope that other appendage goes to a good home. Probably turn up on eBay before we know it. Well, we have reached the end of part 2. On that rather erotic note, join us after the break when we're going to find out whether Scott and Diane are vigilantes in the making, Donald Trump's surprising musical tastes, and why you should be standing for the remainder of the show. See you shortly.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
Make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before. It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
We're still trying to process that last story, which was anatomically rather surprising.
One boy, by the way, was born with 3 penises. I forgot to mention that. There is one boy with 3 penises on the planet. Those they left on for.
I'm imagining he was quite the party animal. Always got an invite.
The headliner at the circus.
Always. Speaking of which, our headliners tonight are Diane Spencer and Scott Capurro. We're looking at tomorrow's papers. Saturday's Daily Mail are carrying a story proving a statistic that I've long suspected. Most people in offices are spineless cowards.
Well, about 1/5 of people are brave enough, they say brave in that article, to act as vigilantes when they see rule breakers at work.
Yeah.
These are people that just cannot stand the thought of authority not stepping in. And if their boss doesn't do anything, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a condition called Vigilante Identity Scale, or a test they have. The Vigilante at the University of Otago in Illinois, the VIS, and it assesses the degree to which people adopt to vigilante identity. I'm surprised it's only 1 in 5 because I've seen a lot of it. Maybe it's the U.S. and crazy people with guns, but you see a lot of vigilante behavior in states where people can carry firearms. You really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think carrying a firearm alone is a bit acting as a vigilante.
Well, maybe that's one of the questions. I would expect the questions to be along the lines of sort of question 1, do you like to carry weapons? Question 2, how do you feel about Lycra all-in-ones? Question 3, do you like driving at night and standing up and talking like this?
Yeah.
Like, I think this idea is interesting that, but it says only 1/5 of people. Like, only. What a shame we don't have more than 20% of people who are willing to step in. And I think what I find worrying about this, in this article in the Daily Mail, is that the vigilantes have no problem with punishing the innocent to achieve their aims.
Yeah, I read that too. That's very strange.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where it becomes a little bit sinister.
Yeah, and it also said that kids are willing to do this. It said that people as young as 5 can intervene and do what they think is necessary to stop people from breaking rules. The study of 376 5 to 8-year-old children from societies across the world, and they really did follow and watch people. They didn't just Zoom this stuff. They went to these cultures and watched. They said that they found children challenging peers who broke rules. It appears to be a universal characteristic in people. Like, for some people, mostly Virgos, the idea of rules being broken is just, it makes them want to explode. They can't handle it. I don't mind. I don't care what people do as long as I don't hurt somebody.
Going back to the pandemic again, a lot of people, the curtain twitchers in the course of the pandemic, were calling the cops saying, my neighbour's been for 2 walks today. And it brought out that side of people, the bossy side of people,
Yeah, now you see, that's another word for it, isn't it? Because they're saying that, you know, you could say brave, but you could also say interfering. And sort of, but those people, I wouldn't even describe them as vigilantes because they're sort of forcing other people to adhere by the rules. Whereas this study with the vigilante scale are saying that these people are willing to, once they've got the rule in their own mind of what it is, they don't care who they punish to enforce the rule. So, yeah, there is an issue there because it's like Batman, instead of just like saving the person who's being robbed, they punch the robber and then they punch the next 10 pedestrians that they see. So if any of you were thinking of doing it, and it's like...
It just reminds me, too, of all those police in America, you know, shooting innocent people. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It happens often, too often, actually, where kids or people with mental disorders get killed because the police are anxious or nervous and they're trying to keep the peace, and what they do is make things worse, you know.
Too right, too right. Well, let's move on to the Daily Mail next. And it turns out the owner of Britain's best man cave is a bit petty and immature, Diane.
Yeah, who'd have thought? Crazy, huh? So this guy called Graham Wildin is 69. Now, when I was reading this article in the Daily Mail, it seemed to be referring back to things that were happening in 2014. You see, he built this man cave, which contains squash courts, bowling alley, I don't know, lots
Pool
of...
table, probably a bar.
Unpublished poetry, things like that.
Yes, of course.
And
standard issue.
Of course. And unfortunately, he did not get any kind of planning permission. So understandably, people went, gosh, considering how large it must be to incorporate all these things, they went, no, you just popped that up. You didn't even talk to anybody, consult your neighbours. Sorry, you're going to have to pull that down. And so he's thrown a hissy fit. And he's now shoved his classic car collection. I mean, don't we all have one of those? And he's littered the street, causing a lot of havoc for his neighbours now. But all of his classic cars, he's covered them in tarpaulins with angry signs saying it is taxed, it is paid for, it's legal, and I'm not moving it. And he's just being an absolute jerk, to be honest with you.
It's 10,000 square feet. It's quite large, this place. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean...
They showed an aerial view shot of it. It's gigantic.
But why do men need to have these man caves, Scott? Do you have one? You got a cave?
Well,
would you like to show me your cave?
My cave's off limits to you. Maybe later. But anyway, give me a drink.
I'll bring a hard hat.
You always say that. And but listen, I think that people need their own space and their own. Men need toys. They need games. And my husband has his own room in the house, and he locks the door all the time and goes in there, does whatever he does, you know, rolls a joint, whatever. And he needs his time to himself. I think this guy, you know, he was feeling like he needed to be alone.
No. This is ridiculous. You can be alone without infringing upon your neighbour's view. You can be alone without having to build a squash court. This is like, this is what millionaires do when they want to be alone.
Well, he did say that he built this for holidaymakers to get out of tax paying, and they wouldn't buy that either, so he has to pay a lot of tax on it as well. So he can't really win for losing, can he? Either he wants time alone or wants to spend it with friends. Either way, he's got to tear that thing down, which I think is kind of mean.
It's very mean. It does seem destructive to knock it down, but he broke the rules, and if he's not punished, then others will do the same thing.
You're a
right?
vigilante right now.
I obviously am. I'm a curtain twitcher, caught red-handed. But there was an amazing story of a family that built an entire house behind an old garage, secretly. And so all it looked like was just this beaten up old garage. And then if you go through the garage door, then you've got this like wonderful kingdom at the back. And they were rumbled by a builder, popped in to do a basic job and said, wait a minute, is this legal?
It's kind of magic. We all want to have a little bit of Narnia, but unfortunately there are rules.
But I have so many friends who've done that to their homes in California without permission. It's like, as long as they're not locking children in there for 20 years and making them grow up as hunched because they can't stand up, then it's okay, I think.
I think you're absolutely right, and that was the defence of Joseph Fritzl back in the day.
Exactly.
Now, the nation's favourite delivery service, Scott, has made the news.
Yeah, Hermes, which I have a bone to pick with, by the way, because when we came back, we had ordered one of those silly tests you have to do for, you know, the whole thing. Of
course.
From our trip abroad. And they'd thrown it in front of our building, and of course someone stole it, so we had to order another one, have it hand-delivered. They've been in trouble for this sort of thing, because Hermes, the deliverer, there was a big expose in the Times that in High Wycombe, apparently, one of the Hermes facilities. In December last year, footage was shown by an undercover reporter in Buckinghamshire of employees throwing deliveries in cages against the wall and onto the floor, and managers saying, act stupid when you're dealing with complaints from customers. Hermes has some of the worst criticism in the Citizens' Rights Bureau, some of the worst. So they've changed their name to Every, so we forget about their past.
Of course we do.
Facebook.
They're lifting
Meta.
a book from Facebook. They are.
And they've given their workers a pension, which is one positive. I think that
they are doing some positive things to improve their brand, to build upon themselves, and the pension is a good one. Yes.
And also, it's not the easiest job for these delivery drivers, is it? They work long hours.
And it's terrible. Someone's holding a gun to their head, making them do it. Yeah. I guess they could do something else, so they could have done better in school. But in the meantime, can you not ruin or lose my package?
Oh, well said. Be careful. Watch lovely Scott's package with a vengeance. Belgium's imperial past has long since cast a shadow over their country, but better late than never. They're finally making amends on the world stage by eliminating that great historic evil, pigeons, Diane.
Yes, well, apparently the pigeons in Brussels cost the city a lot to clear up all the pigeon poo, and they damage things. And so Brussels has decided that they're going to put pigeons on the pill to stop the pigeons from procreating, creating more pigeons. You see, they discovered that there's the R12 pigeon pill. They're going to coat maize kernels in it, and when the pigeons eat it, it's usually to treat parasites internally, but they discovered as a byproduct, it also causes the pigeons to become infertile. They've actually tried this out in a city square, and they reduced the population of pigeons by 63%.
Well, it does sound quite humane, doesn't it?
Over 2 years. Yeah. I mean, sort of, it is humane in a weird way. I mean, because the pigeons can still have sex, which is great. I don't know if pigeons do that for fun, because I know that not many animals do.
No, they're like Catholics. It's only for reproduction.
Right, and then afterwards they're very upset and they have to sort of, ooh, can't believe I did that.
Isn't the problem for pigeons that they're ugly? If they were cute and gorgeous, we'd love them. It's like squirrels versus rats. What's the difference between a squirrel and a rat?
Well,
fairy tale.
They're also edible.
Oh, yes.
Pigeons are edible. They're quite tasty, actually.
But even like those grey pigeons?
Yeah, they're good. If you're hungry, you shoot one down, fry it on the side of the road on your car.
Now you're talking.
But also, the poop is quite toxic.
Yeah, it's been eroding the marble facades. So sort of Brussels is melting under this pile of pigeon poo.
Toxic on humans, too, though. It's really dangerous, actually.
Gracious. Well, pigeons, there you go. They're loved or loathed, aren't they?
You can
Very
kill them
intelligent.
just feed them. That'll kill them. You feed them human food, that's what kills them faster than anything.
Good point.
Yeah.
White bread.
Feed them bread. That'll
Yeah,
kill them.
donuts. Now
Yeah,
you're talking.
exactly.
Well, Scott, let's talk about Saturday's Telegraph, and sitting is the new smoking.
It is the new smoking. Apparently, inactivity will kill you. It'll give you a heart attack or diabetes, or you'll just die. It's been recognized there are reduced levels of physical activity during the pandemic, and people working long hours sitting in their seats, even if they're active afterwards, it doesn't really make up for those long hours they spent sitting.
Yeah.
So cardiovascular disease, diabetes, all sorts of things are caused by this sitting behavior. It's very sneaky. You think that you're kind of, getting on with things and getting things done. In the meantime, your body's basically falling apart. So the power of movement is being promoted now, hopefully by the government, and they're thinking of encouraging people to go to Pilates.
Well, Diane's had a workout as you were explaining that story.
Yeah,
I
apparently.
was out of breath looking at you.
You should do movement snacks. That's what they're calling it, where you sort of, you get up and you move for about 30 minutes. That's a movement snack, guys. Delicious. And you just sort of shimmy around. And I think that's quite nice, actually. You can just sort of, in the middle of your day, just put on a bit of music.
It's not a bad shout. Offices have standing desks now.
They do. That's a new thing.
What do you think about that? That would make me feel tired to stand all day.
Yeah, and I think again, it can be hard on your legs. I mean, I think the idea is movement for your heart. Right. You want to keep your blood flowing. So whatever she was just doing there. Are you all right? That spasm she had that lasted about 10 seconds. If you can do that without scaring people or making children cry, that's helpful, right?
Too right. Let's, whilst we're still seated, go to The Guardian. And the alphabet people are not happy with Pixar, Diane.
No, Disney has been accused of cutting LGBTQ+ content from Pixar films. They've been barring moments of gay affection, which is not fair at all. And you see, they're saying that nearly every moment of overtly gay affection has been cut at Disney's behest.
What about all those gay robots? We need to let them express themselves.
Well, is it not because Disney are very moralising and censorious about all intimacy, irrespective of the orientation?
Well, yes, because, growing up, I watched many Disney films, and you always went from the first kiss to marriage. There was nothing in between. It literally faded from one to the next.
Which is how my parents did it. It was basically Beauty and the Beast, but just in real life. Or Aladdin.
Well, I was going to. I have a lot of issues with Beauty and the Beast because it's essentially a story of bestiality, which I just think is very odd. Because it never works the other way round. If you think about the genders in Beauty and the Beast, you reverse it, where you've got a very attractive man and an ugly dog.
But that's not hot, though. It's hot the other way. It's hot where the guy's this big kind of beast, and he just wants that.
What?
Control over that little thing.
Well, that's right. It's like a bear in a gay couple, right?
Yeah.
Which is what a kind of overweight bearded man. Is that what a bear is? A bear?
Pretty much. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
I am sensing some electricity here.
Oh, it's happening. The chemistry's there. Well, look, let's finish on Donald Trump. Let me rephrase that. This one from the Metro, and the former president has revealed that he's got surprising musical taste.
Yes, for someone with shin splints, he does. He claims that he likes to DJ at his Mar-a-Lago resort. And when he doesn't DJ, actually. He chooses the music, lets someone else do the work. But he likes to play the YMCA because the gays love it. And it's not just the gays, everybody loves it. He calls it the gay anthem. When he plays it, they jump out of their chairs. And he says, I like good music. I'm a good music guy. I've got very good taste in music, and I have an affinity. I really love the beautiful stuff. And he loves to play, Andrew Lloyd Webber, all the good stuff. But, people, they love the old favorites, and they love the YMCA. They can't get enough.
And he loves Elton as well, doesn't he?
I guess he
does.
does.
And Elton refused to let his music be played at his inauguration.
Oh, right.
But yeah, he likes Simply Red as well. Oh, no, sorry, Simply Orange.
Yes.
So easy to make that mistake. What a fabulous contribution.
Lovely.
Scott Capurro, Diane Spencer. They will return very soon. I'm back tomorrow in the hot seat at 11, and we start at 9. See you then.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekday